for today. A couple of little things. Thought I'd make a video. Nothing exciting. Got some torque converter bolts, a radiator, bush, bracket, bush, whatever you want to call it, support, and a drain back for the turbo. First up, we got the 9mm bolts. Let's not talk about the fact that they're 9mm. Actually, let's talk about it. They're 9mm for early A340s, I think up to like 92, 93, Japanese built. You'll have M9 by 1.25 pitch. I think they're M9 by 12 mil long. After 92, 93, they'll be 10mm. So just a normal bolt. Basically, if you've got the early one and you've lost these bolts, you're either going to have to source some second-hand 9mm ones from someone who knows what they got, or order them from Toyota and hope they have them, I guess. And we've got the other radiator support bush. I'm missing one of those, so track that down second-hand. And this GRP engineering oil drain back fitting. So it's going to go on the sump. That does fit 1Js and 2JZs. Fits on the standard location. And that's 10 AN. So that'll be for the oil that goes through the turbo to cool it and to lubricate it, and it'll drain back into the sump. You probably don't want to go any smaller than 10. 10's probably, you know, as small as you want to go on any turbo application, in my opinion. Anyway, let's get started. Like I said, it's not going to be real exciting, but it's something. So the bush is going to go in here. I might tackle that second. We'll have to go up the top and remove the radiator bracket so we can lift it up and get it in. And then I might do these first, the torque converter bolts. I've been waiting for that, sort that out for a while. And then maybe we'll do this second. We'll do the oil drain here. Good, it's from the bottom, I guess, be a bit easier. So before we go and throw these 9mm bolts in, we're going to want to clean the threads up and get that old Loctite off and put some new Loctite on. But something you should look at on some automatic transmissions, it's going to be this one bolt. It's a little bit different to the others. So there's 6 in this case, and this one here is different. It has a taper under the thread. So you can see the other 5 don't have it. It's just plain shank under that thread there, just above the flat washer or the spring washer. You can see this one. Alright, so after you clean it all up and put your Loctite on, this is the one you want to put in first. The reason for that is it's going to be the locator. It's going to help center the converter and line up those other 5 holes. I mean, plenty of cars don't have them, but that's what that's for. Alright, so I've got that first bolt in with the locator on it. And I've just done that up by hand. You don't want to do it up real tight, because you're going to want to go around and get the others in first. You don't want to leave it too loose either, in case it hits something up inside the back of the motor there. So I'm just going to put a mark on this one. That's my first one. And then I've got the ratchet on the crank here. We're going to turn it over, find the next hole, put in the bolt, do it up by hand, and then eventually get back around to this one, crank them up. Gone all the way around, put those bolts in by hand. I just crank this one up tight, got the ratchet still on the crank, and then I've got my smaller ratchet on here, doing these up. There'll be some tension somewhere if that's what you're into. Otherwise you don't want to do them too tight, because they definitely don't look like high tensile bolts, so don't go too crazy. But yeah, now I'll mark that. You don't have to mark it, that's just precaution, I guess. Just save some time. You have to double check. You just go through and know that you've done it. So I'll just repeat the process and just using that one to tighten. Click the ratchet in the opposite direction and use it to hold the crank, and then get your leverage on there. Alright, so I'll tension up the last one there. Like I said, it's a pretty boring process, but it's a process nonetheless. Spice it up with a bit of a story. Story about me. A stupid story, actually. So I was working back late one night in my workshop, and I was by myself, as is the case most of the time. And I was doing this same thing, tensioning up some bolts, and I put my hand on the side of the gearbox when I did it. Anyway, like I said, this is a stupid story, stupid me. My finger got trapped between the flex plate and the bell housing and got stuck there. And as I reached over to turn the motor, the breaker bar fell off onto the ground. And my finger was trapped in there, and I had no way to turn the motor to get my finger back out. So I literally had to just rip my finger out, which was kind of hard to do, and it did cause a bit of damage. Anyway, that's my stupid story to spice things up a little bit. So that's where that oil drain back is. It's going to be pretty basic, I think. Shouldn't be anything too complicated. You need to put some sealant on the gasket, obviously. I'm not going to use silicone, I'm going to use non-hardening. Whenever you've got a paper gasket, try to avoid using silicones. So you can see there, it comes with like an oversized oil drain back that's on a Garrett turbo, or pretty much any turbo anyway. It's just on the sump. It's just slightly bigger than even the largest one that's on the turbo. I think you could modify one to fit, but Goldie's had it in stock, ordered it, got it delivered, so might as well go with what works, right? Let's get it on. So this is pretty old school stuff. A lot of people don't like it. It's probably not good for you. Don't go eating it. But it is a non-hardening sealant. And what that means is it's not going to build up on there. And the oil's not going to find a way to leak through it. So you don't want to go crazy with it either. Make sure it's all coated. Like that. Nice thin coat. Get rid of any excess. Don't leave big, thick blobs. The other benefit of this stuff is it doesn't move around as much as silicone. So if you're trying to get something lined up, you can sit that on there. It's not going to go anywhere. Alright, well, that wasn't rocket appliances. It's pretty straightforward. Good fit. Went on, no problems. Don't do it up too tight, you don't want to hurt that gasket. But you want to get some tension on there, so you don't get any leaks. Doesn't vibrate loose. And you want to get a solvent on a rag. It's probably just as toxic as the sealant itself. Clean your hands with it. And also give that a bit of a rub down. Get rid of any of the excess that you don't want. Okay, so ideally you'd probably want to go 45 on there, but we're only going for the 90 because of how close the power steering lines are there. So we're going to have to live with that, work that out. Bit of sacrifice there. This is actually a PTFE fitting. I don't have a 90. So we may just go PTFE on that because I only have a PTFE 90. Once we get the turbo mounted up on the manifold, we'll be able to work that out. So that's just there for now. See if we can work with it. Now there's nothing light about this car, including the bonnet. It weighs a ton. The shockies are off, gas struts. Obviously it killed those. So I've got this big bar in there for safety reasons. You have to loosen off this bracket on top here, so we can tilt it up. And I've got it off the ground a little bit with the hoist, not too far. Hopefully I can just lay down there and get that bush in. Might need to remove some of this plastic down the bottom. Just got a factory style alloy radiator in there. The factory brackets hold it down. Eventually they'll need a little bit of a paint to make them look pretty. Got the plastic peeled back there, out of the way. should have enough room to lift that up. Get that fella in there. Alright, let's get this lubed up. Look me in the eye. Go, see if we can push it down. So hopefully, I'll just go in like that. Probably have to remove this plastic now. We do still have to put in the belt tensioner, which might require. Oh no, maybe we don't have to take it all apart. All these hoses, that's the oil catch can. We've got some modified rocker covers we've got to go pick up. We'll take these 10 AM fittings, go back to the oil catch can, real basic one for now. This is actually extra fuel return. So I've got a 10 AN from the reg, the fuel pressure reg back there, going back to the tank as the return. Two 8 AN fittings, one on each end, 8 AN lines. So a little bit of work to do there, tidy that, finish it off. But yeah, we might put this on too. Well, I think that little struggle there was probably not really worth it, because I'm going to pull the radiator out and make it easy to get this this thing. Belt tensioner. New belt tensioner goes in that hole there somehow. We'll work it out. I think that covers, Chinese cover's got to come back off. Our Commodore radiator hose has got to come off. I'll pull the radiator out so it's out of the way, and then get this on as well. After searching through those disgusting Toyota bolts, I found 3 bolts to use on that tensioner. So some degrees right up, a bit of clean. Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Let's check this tensioner on. I was going to put a rag here to stop anything from falling down, because they kind of suck, but the rag will get stuck in there behind the tensioner apparently. So, danger zone. Well, we made it out of the danger zone. Didn't drop any bolts in the timing cover. So the belt tensioner's on. The or idler pulley, whatever you want to call it, belt tensioner it is. Clear cover's back on. Radiator's back in. Our hose is sitting back up there just to hold everything in place. Looking pretty good. We do have a thermostat. I'm pretty sure that's where the thermostat goes. Maybe I'll check it out. Well, you don't actually have to put sealant on this, but I'm going to, just because that's second hand. I did flatten it out, make sure it was nice and flat on some sandpaper, but a non-hardening sealant, peace of mind. Whoops. Well, it's going to be it for that video. See you in the next one, when I may just screw an oil filter on this thing. You never know. Stay tuned to find out.